What is up, Sooner Nation? I am Casey Mallon, and you are now, come on, in a Sooner state of mind. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. On today's show, we take a quick look back at Tennessee before we look ahead to Auburn. The Sooners officially make the switch at quarterback. Michael Hawkins Jr. will get the start on Saturday. Can it save the season? We look at what's next for JFA, and we will preview some of the best college football games in Week 5, including a game that feels too big for Week 5, talking Georgia and Bama. How will Alabama respond without Coach Saban on the sidelines? We will discuss. Sooner State of Mind family, what is good? I know the rent is in arrears. The dog has not been fed in years. It's even worse than it appears, but it's all right. Have we all recovered from last week? As disappointing as that game was, maybe it will be the catalyst to saving the season. Last week, right before halftime, BV had seen enough out of JFA and at least temporarily pulled the plug on Jackson Arnold as a starting quarterback for the Sooners. Not a move that anyone wanted. Well, the Vultures were already out, so a move that not everyone wanted. Even so, I think it was the right move. You know, for me, I absolutely needed to see the play improve at the quarterback position. Going into the year, we knew it would be a transition, but the improvement just was not happening. The decision-making getting worse. And when you've got a Lamborghini just sitting in the garage, you grab those keys, got the fear in, power steering, pistons popping, ain't no stopping now. You put that M&F pedal down. BV said on the move, we were not in any kind of rhythm offensively. It just didn't feel like we were making good decisions within the scheme. And certainly there were a lot of issues, but making good decisions and putting us in a good position is part of everyone's job. And I felt that maybe Mike could come in and spark us. BV also said maybe this will give us a better chance of moving forward. I believe in Mike. I made that announcement for a lot of reasons. I certainly didn't want a decision like that to hang over anyone's head, and we've got to get better. Sometimes maybe change is good. BV continued, the challenges are only going to become greater as we continue to play. It's all hard, but it's all good, though. I don't shy away from that whatsoever. I think it's a great opportunity. That's how I look at it, and a great story of overcoming. To me, that's how we're all defined, is what we're able to overcome. And there had been some speculation of what the future is for JFA. Venable said, ain't throwing nobody away. From a player standpoint, we've got to get guys better. We've got to develop them. We've got to do a great job of putting them in a successful position. I believe that. They still want the best for JFA. And, you know, maybe for him, just getting to take a step back and watch will eventually help him move forward. I mean, it was a dude that looked overwhelmed, and his mistakes were coming from bad decisions at the worst possible time. Arnold has all the physical tools. He was just struggling with the mental part, and that's, you know, there's no shame in that. It's tough. That transition is brutal. But I think maybe in the long run, hopefully this will be a good thing for him. Sit back and learn and watch the game, kind of figure things out from a different perspective. I also think for now, Arnold will probably be the third string quarterback. It wouldn't be fair to him to yank him and then throw him back in there if some bad stuff were to transpire. So let's just give dudes some time to reset, pick it back up, and then find out what we got down the road. So far, Venables said Arnold has been responding the right way, and I hope that's the case. I hope that's not just coach speak. I mean, he still has a bright future. He's young. He's a redshirt freshman, so hopefully that future is still here at OU. That being said, from what we saw out of Hawkins last week, very small sample size, but what was apparent is dude has juice. He has an electricity to him. And up until he came in the game last week, we hadn't seen any of that on the offensive attack so far in the season. None at all. And I know there's been a ton of injuries, and as bad as that has been, when Hawkins got in there, you could see that there were plays to be made, and he started making them. And I know it's only been 2 quarters, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this cat looks like the type of dude that ain't going to give that job back. And, even though he didn't get the nod due to injury, Hawkins is giving me some Jamelle Holieway vibes. Now, I know some of you out there are probably too young to remember number 4. If so, he came into a game against the hated Miami Hurricanes for an injured Troy Aikman. Troy would eventually transfer to UCLA, but from then on, the Sooners did not lose a game that season, winning every one of them bad boys, including the national championship over Penn State. So maybe we can channel some of that Sooner magic. If so, this could be a hell of a ride. I know. That's a ton of shit to put on the shoulders of a freshman quarterback. But we do have a championship caliber defense. And I think this Hawkins cat is just built different. He wants all that smoke. So if we can get through this Auburn game with a win, we have a bye week before we throw down with the hated ones. It's time to get stuff right. That could be good. But first things first, we can't overlook what's right there. And why would we? Them Auburn Tigers. It's the 3-1 and 21 ranked Oklahoma Sooners at the 2-2 Auburn Tigers. Bet Online has the Sooners as a 1.5 favorite on the road, and the over sitting there at 45. I think I like both of those. OU is 2-0 all-time versus Auburn. Both wins coming in the Sugar Bowl. The last one was in 2017, a 35-19 Sooners victory. Baker Mayfield, 19-28, 296, 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine both going over 85 yards on the ground. Mixon with 2 TDs. Put them Tigers out of their misery, baby. Although this one's not at the Sugar Bowl. This is not a bowl game. This will be the Sooners' first ever trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium. And they say it is one of the toughest places to play, so I guess we're going to find out on Saturday. Tigers are led by head coach Hugh Freeze. He's in his second year at Auburn. So far, he's an 8-9 record. Auburn is coming off a 24-14 loss to Arkansas. It's not just the Sooners. Tigers have been having some quarterback issues as well. Their situation a little bit different, though. Freshman quarterback Hank Brown got the start last week, and after throwing 3 interceptions, Freeze had seen enough. Called on senior quarterback Peyton Thorne. He comes in, and despite 5 turnovers on the day, Auburn got this thing down to a 3-point game. That was before the Razorbacks went on a 12 plays, 75 yards, 6 minute, 12-second drive to go back up by 10. And that is all she wrote. I'm assuming it will be Thorne getting the start versus the Sooners. I don't know that they want to put the freshman quarterback back out there against this defense. Oof. But no matter who is playing quarterback for Auburn, they've had a tough time not giving the ball away. 8 total interceptions between the two of them. Thorne with 5. And these guys have only combined for 13 pass touchdowns. So it's not a strength of the offense by any means. They do have some studs at receiver. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 12 receptions, 338 yards. It's 28 per reception and 5 touchdowns. That's pretty damn good. Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson all have big playability. They just need the QB to get the ball to them. Pretty stout run game as well. Jarquez Hunter and Damari Alston, both of those cats are averaging over 7 yards a carry. Auburn be smart to try to get that run game going, not leave those QBs vulnerable to that Sooners pass rush. Thorne also has 100 yards rushing on the year too, so he can do a little bit with his legs. Now, to put that in perspective, they did most of that offensive damage against Alabama A&M. Had you. Got you there. And New Mexico. So they have definitely not seen a defense like the one that is coming to town on Saturday. And if they continue to turn the ball over like they did last week, it is going to be a very long day for War Damn Eagle. On defense, safety Jaron Thompson is their leading tackler. 18 of his 22 tackles being of the solo variety. Although I'm not sure you want your safety being your leading tackler. Maybe that's a good sign for this anemic Sooners rushing attack. Up front for the Tigers, it's Jalen McLeod, not to be confused with the Love Boats' Gavin McLeod, a.k.a. Captain Steubing. Throwing you guys some 80s references, man. You seeing the through line? And Keldrick Falk, both very productive defensive linemen. Together, they have 5 of the 8 Auburn sacks. As a team, though, they have only created 4 turnovers. And overall, they're at -10 in the turnover ratio. That should have the Sooners licking them chops because they're coming in with bad intentions. This is a highly motivated Oklahoma Sooners defense. They're 3rd in the nation at creating turnovers. -10 in turnover ratio, 3rd in the country at creating them. Should be a pretty good day for the Sooners defense. Sooners 8th in the country with 32 TFLs. 4th in the nation with 14 sacks. And I think this defense continues to eat and plays even better than they did last week against a very high-powered Tennessee offense. Held them to 25 with a couple of gifts from the offense. A lot of short fields. They bowed up for most of that game. A very impressive effort because there was absolutely no offensive production in the first half. Not only no offense, there were turnovers at the worst time. And even so, the defense still brought it. And I think that impresses me even more about what they did. They were stacked against them, and they just kept hitting those cats. I still think there is room for improvement. And you know what I was really digging last week? Stutz. Still putting it on the defense, regardless of what happened out there. He took ownership of that, saying, well, if we don't let them score, then we would have won. That's Danny Stetson right there, dude. I love his mentality. I love the way he plays. His motor is nonstop. And I look for him to have a very, big game on Saturday. And I want to see that dude and this defense get rewarded for just how good they are. Because to this point, they have gotten no help from the other side of the football so far. Hopefully it's a different situation on Saturday, but offense hasn't done anything. And that is all of which even more of a reason why the change had to be made. On the season, Sooners only converting on third down at 28%. That is not good. That will get you beat almost every damn time. Not getting anything on first down, not getting anything on second down. Sooners, 119th in total offense. We're talking the Oklahoma freaking Sooners. 119th in total offense. Are you kidding me? 101st in rushing. 3.5 a carry, just 128 yards rushing a game. In the past, we've done that in a quarter. It's even worse. The passing offense, 111th. Only 171 passing yards a game. That's why we got to do what we got to do. That's why hopefully Hawkins will be the spark. You could see that there was plays in the offense once he got in there. There are plays to be had. So I'm excited about that prospect. And there are just too many good athletes on this team, regardless of all the injuries, to have the complete lack of production. Can't have it. It's got to be better. Otherwise, season is not going to be good. But I have a feeling we're going to turn it around. And I mentioned all the injuries. And instead of taking names off that list, we seem to be adding more and more to it. Nick Anderson will be out on Saturday. And the kicker, Tyler Keltner, is out too. How the hell did the kicker get hurt? That is pretty, a good representation of what's happened, how deep these injuries have been this season. When your kicker's getting hurt, not cool, man. Andrell Anthony and Taylor Tatum, both listed as doubtful. I'm assuming that means out. Taylor Tatum looked like he got rocked last week. Might have been concussed after that hit. Kind of a shady hit too, but he didn't come back in the game. So no need to rush that dude back, especially with the bye week coming up. Same with Andrell. We'd love to have the help of receiver, but we're going to have a little time off after this. Deshaun McCullough and Deion Burks are both listed as questionable. I'm assuming that means they are going to play. And offensive lineman Jake Taylor listed as probable. I'm putting that as pretty good barometer that he will play as well. And more on the injury front. Just sick about Kendall Dolby. He's done for the year. Kind of a freak accident. And he was probably playing his best football. Such a bummer, man. That cat was really coming on. And now he's going to miss it. He's a senior, so I don't know if he'll try to take a red shirt and come back another year, or what his plan will be, or even where that injury is. Plenty of time to figure it out. He could take the red shirt and still go to the NFL if he decides to. But I would love to see him back one more year. But we all got to do what we got to do. So just hopefully he heals up and can play again if that's what he wants. Just like I said, total bummer. But I did really like the way the whole team rallied around him. You saw the dudes out there by the cart circling around, dapping him up. Hopefully this team can have the same rallying around this season. And I'm excited to see the fight that this team responds with. I fully expect to get that run game going at least a little bit more out of the pass game, hopefully a lot more execution, more cohesion. I think we saw that there's plays out there, and I think Hawk can get it going. And this offense will score some points on Saturday. We're going to see some drives. We're going to see some scores. And then that defense is going to get us some turnovers. And instead of giving it right back, we're going to turn those bad boys into points as well. Hopefully this is our best game of the season so far. I think it's going to be. Sooners will go into their bye week sitting at 3-1 with a legit shot at getting healthy. And then we go stick them horns right in the freaking mouth. Take them down. Sooner state of mind, man. You feeling me? That is what I am talking about. A few other less important games going down on Saturday. Number 20 Okie State at number 23 Kansas State. BetOnline has K-State favored by 5 points with the over at 55.5. Pokes almost came back versus a rising list Utah team last week. Made it very interesting. And that's kind of been a trait with that team. They have shown the ability to fight back. They're going to need all that fight and more on Saturday because K-State got absolutely embarrassed on the road at BYU last week. Said last week that could be a sneaky game. That is a tough place to play. Kansas State got blowed out. So I think it might be a bad time for the Pokes to go to Manhattan. We shall see. Number 15, Louisville. Number 16, Notre Dame. The Domers are 6-point favorites. And I'm not really sure who either of these teams are yet. But I do know Riley Leonard has to do more through the air. 6 rushing touchdowns. That's good. Ran all over them fools last week, but only 1 passing touchdown through 4 games. That is not going to get it done long term. If they can figure that part out of the game. Still got a solid defense, but everything's still right in front of both of these teams, and the winner's sitting in pretty good shape. Too bad this game is on Peacock, where we will all forget about it during the other football goodness going down and be like, oh, yeah, Notre Dame and Louisville. Number 19, Illinois. At number 9, Penn State. Penn State are 18-point favorites at home, over a 47.5. The Illini passed a huge test last week, and I mean huge, winning on the road in overtime at Nebraska. They can find a way to win this game, then they might have a little something cooking. But that's traditionally a hard place to play, and Penn State's been pretty good so far. So Saturday, probably more of Penn State playing well. But we'll see. Don't count the Illini out. Number 8, Oregon at UCLA, right down the street at the Rose Bowl. Oregon, 24-point favorites in this one with an over of 55.5. Actually starting to get into the time of year where it's nice to go to the Rose Bowl. In September, early September, it's brutal. It's cooling down a little bit. I haven't looked at the weekend forecast, but it's a pretty stadium, but it's way the hell out there. Either way, our dude DG, who BV said ain't nobody run him off. That's good to hear. Hopefully, not coach speak. Hopefully that's true. But he is looking to keep his Ducks in the thick of that Big Ten race. Isn't that weird to say? The Big Ten race, Oregon and UCLA in the Big Ten. Either conference, it's been a lot of dime time. Hey, Big Ten, dime. Dime means 10. Maybe that's a sign of things to come. I'm assuming those Ducks smashed the Bruins. Bruins played a good game last week for the first half, and then the wheels fell off. We'll see what they got this week. And then the Big Daddy in prime time, game too big for week 5, but a game we might see again down the road. I am talking about the number 2 ranked Georgia Bulldogs and the number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide. BetOnline has those dogs at 2.5-point favorites on the road, the over of 48. Like this, both teams coming off a bye last week, so they should be kind of healthy. Speaking of that 2.5, I'm not sure the last time Bama was a dog at home. Probably the last time they played Georgia in Tuscaloosa, I'm assuming. Other than that, I don't know why they would be. But don't forget, Bama was a dog the last time they played Georgia in the SEC championship. And the Tide sent them dogs home whimpering, tail between their legs. This one is going to be a little bit different. Why? Well, you don't have Nick Saban on the sideline. That is going to be weird in itself. Kalen DeBoer, welcome to the SEC. Getting a little taste of Georgia. This should be an awesome game. Hopefully it lives up to the hype. Probably going to see this again, but at least we get to see it on Saturday, and I am completely stoked about that. If you want to subscribe to Sooner State of Mind, which I highly suggest, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts, and do it, because then it's just in your little, hey, boom, oh, Sooner State of Mind, what's up? Also, head on over to Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. Go to shows, type in Sooner State of Mind, and you are locked. We have a ton of great content. Every team, every topic, everywhere. Believe.com. And if you want to watch Sooner State of Mind, head on over to YouTube and search the Football Dudes. We are there. Like and subscribe there. Comment. Get a little dialogue going, okay? That's how we do it. Sooner State of Mind is brought to you by BetOnline. My name is Casey Mallon, and I am in a Sooner State of Mind. Boomer.